Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, where do we go?
Thank you, Asya and Christoph. But I'm so sorry I couldn't explain your introduction completely because of the electricity lighting problem. But you explained it so well. Okay, now the next presentation by Naji Akbar. Naji Akbar received his Bachelor's of Architecture from Daud College of Engineering and Technology in 1998. Together with architect Kamran Rashid, he runs his own practice in Karachi. Naji has been actively involved in education, teaching students of all ages. Currently, he is professional expert teacher at the Department of Visual Studies, Karachi University, and architectural design for the past 10 years. Naji is also a member visiting faculty, Department of Architecture, NED, and DCET, Karachi. I would like to invite Naji come on stage.
Thank you. My PowerPoint file is very heavy, so it's taking time to load. Please bear with me for a moment. All right. I'm thankful to the IAP Conference Committee for inviting me to talk to you. Since we have a time limit, I would like to start straight away. As you learned from my introduction, I've been a faculty member in the Visual Studies Department for the past, I think, 8-9 years. And primarily I've been teaching a course titled Drafting. It's a mandatory course taught in all art and architecture schools in Pakistan, and as far as I know, there is no one given outline, and every teacher has his or her own way of conducting it. When I joined university, I was given an outline that was being taught there then. And while conducting classes, I realized that the course content needs to be upgraded or amended because the course did not improve the level of the students in the 32 classes that was dedicated to the course annually, and B, it was not particularly relevant to all art and architecture students. And C, it did not take into consideration the fact that most of the students who enroll for design disciplines have not had any prior or qualitative art exposure. After having experimented with different course outlines, I learned that the issues that I've just raised could be tackled if a thoughtful course content is selected, keeping in view time available so that we cover important subjects and we improve the level of the students. B, we incorporate in the outline advanced and applied level studies so that the course becomes relevant to most of the students. And C, exercises are introduced as concepts more than skills to be acquired. In the light of what I've said, my suggested course policy is that since I have changed it a lot, I think it has become akin to drawing and should become a drawing sister course. It should stress peer review and direct and hands-on observation of the natural and man-made surround. And it should excite the visual and spatial faculties of the students, training him on basic geometry, accuracy and scale, eye movement while reading a set of images, composing, layouting, rendering, form-space relationship, and depth perception. I would now like to show you the selected worksheets done by my first year art and architecture students in the Visual Studies Department. Let me mention this here that most of the work is done in pencil, therefore slides might not be visible well. And also the sheet size that students use is 20 inches by 30 inches. I could not find a scanner in the market that could scan all these sheets properly, so I had to get them photographed in the studio. The result might not be as sharp as you would like, but I think generally sheets should be visible. Our first topic is lines, grids, and patterns. We start off with a warm-up exercise, and the concepts that we introduce in the class are line alignment, parallelness, perpendicularity, and line uniformity, regularity-wise, tone-wise, and weight-wise. We then introduce grids, and here we ask students to explore superimposition of different pencil tones and layering. Insertion and fragmentations of circles within grids is also a part of this warm-up exercise. And then this topic ends with an applied study where a student is to think of a basic and very simple motif and is required to repeat, rotate, and stagger it across a given grid, creating a scheme. Initially, rectilinear patterns are made, and then later on, curvilinear designs are explored. Our next topic is lettering and typography. This is a very important topic. Here students are exposed to different and important typographic related concepts like typeface, font, glyph, etc. And a grid is marked, and a student is required to print freehand these alphabets. We start with capital alphabets. We also do small alphabets. Then we study massing and volumes. We make thin alphabets and thick alphabets, volume-wise. And then we study concepts like kerning, tracking, line spacing, word spacing, etc. And we ask the student to exercise these on a given grid size and type a copy. We make single-line alphabets here and also double-line them. Next is three-dimensional views and projection drawings. This is a difficult chapter to start with students because they're just beginners and not cognizant of the forms in their 2D and 3D appearances. We do a sheet where we ask them to study these three types of views comparatively. The top row is the oblique view row, the middle one is the axonometric row, the bottommost is the isometric views. We do projection studies, which are an important part of the course outline. We do basic solids. We study wireframing and taking help from points of references. We study single objects in plan and multiple objects in plan and project. Then we apply the study of projection studies to the documentation and representation of furniture pieces. This is a donkey stool, which is used by foundation year students in the visual studies department. Drafting table. Walk around views is a difficult exercise, but it gets interesting as students learn how to go about it. What you're to do is appreciate a form in its top view and assume 4 different positions around it and make isometric views. We increase the difficulty of the exercise by introducing levels. We rotate the form in plan so as to open up possibilities of different angles for isometric views. We introduce two elements in plan and ask them to draw walk-around views. The topic ends with this exercise where you have to print double-lined alphabets on cubes made in isometric view. Shades and shadows is an interesting exercise. We start off again with basic solids. The top row that you see on the slide is dedicated to the top views, and underneath you have corresponding isometric views. We cast shadows for objects that have some angle or slant. We cast shadows for frame type elements or step type elements. We cast shadows on obstructions. This chapter ends with an applied study where what you have to do is make models of 10 basic solids, and you have to arrange them in an asymmetrical composition and place the composition under sun at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock and photograph it from 4 different viewpoints. Then you select one best photo and then you reproduce it on a larger scale and render it with water-soluble pencils. Section studies is not as exciting as the previous topic. We start off again with basic solids, and apart from cutting sections in orthographic views, I asked my students to visualize the section cutting in isometric views as well. Basic solids. This is another way of doing section studies and walk around views side by side. Some time back, my students had problem orienting themselves with regards to the top view while making walk around views, so we decided to color code different surfaces of the composition. We increased the difficulty level of the exercise, and we give the type of plans to the students that have possibilities of space-form relationship and interlocking at different sectional planal and vertical section levels. Then we apply the concepts of sections to the section makings of our donkey stool and drafting table. Now, apart from drawing these sections, students also learn the structural mechanics of the furniture. We discuss at length different jointing systems like mortise and tenon joints and butt joints, etc. Our drafting table. RCC structures again are discussed at length, and a student is required to document his own room in his home and cut sections off. This is an applied study of typography and lettering. Since the students are now aware of concepts like line spacing and font size and tracking and kerning,